we're on the other side. We've been there, done it. We've climbed the corporate ladder. We've achieved the best. We've built our own business. You know what I mean? And now it's like, well, what's next? And we want to look after ourselves because I think we've given ourselves enough torture, right? Welcome to episode 5 of the Curious Bee podcast. I'm kind of excited to talk to you about this one. You know me, it's so interesting. So when I had my design business, Duffy Design, I grew that business with my ex-husband. He was a audio composer. I met him, I got a scholarship when I was at was it IT then, and now it's AUT, whatever, Auckland University of Technology. And I got a scholarship to go and work inside this company called Terabyte. And Terabyte was one of the first new media internet companies in New Zealand. It was amazing. I used to go in there after hours. It was so cool. And I'd have use of all the photocopiers and all the... At the time, photocopiers were just so much fun as a designer. You had so much fun with a photocopier and a fax machine. So funny. He was there one night. I went down, one of the other designers said, come downstairs and I'll show you level 2. It's so funny, so funny. And yes, I met this guy and this led to that and blah, 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 and got married at 21, and we were these entrepreneurial couple, you know. Oh my goodness. He really built me into the entrepreneur that I am. So I was talking about growing. So he had the recording studio. Gosh, there's all sorts of ways I can take this story. God, storytelling is so much fun. He used to make jingles for TV commercials, and that industry kind of died. It was around 2000. Wow. The whole library music came out, and so his business, yeah, as I said, it died a bit, and my business was thriving. So I said, well, look, you know, why don't you just come and help me build Duffy? So we, you know, got our first designer to help me, and then we got a salesperson. Boom, 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 boom. The office and the cars and so yeah, we did that until we spent too much time together, and I couldn't. Anyway, there's another whole story. But what I want to talk about is business coaches, because I want to share a really cool thing that we did in there. If you're listening to this as a business owner, this was so cool. So we had a business coach, and this business coach said, you need to, you know, because of course we needed to generate a lot of work. Like coming from being self-employed, I had oodles of work. You know, it doesn't take much work to keep one person busy, but when you've gone and got all these staff and a salesperson and then another oh my goodness, he was an entrepreneur with huge visions for 3 offices, and I was like, oh, it's like a bit too much for little old me. Come back to the business coach. He was like, so we had to generate work. So he was like, you need to send something, and it needs to be something that when it's received, it's really, really memorable. So we came up with this idea, because my design style was always really clean. We came up with this idea of sending a sponge, like a yellow car wash sponge, and we put clean design duffy.co.nz on the sponge, and then it had a postcard of a girl washing, and then all the services on the back, and it was great. So then what would happen is my salesperson, she was like, came with a database because she'd worked in Trends magazine, So we had this whole database of architects, and so we started at A, and we did websites for all these people beginning with A. Then we got to B. It was so funny. And so she would call them up and say, "Hey, I'm from Duffy Design, and I'm the lady that sent you the sponge." And it worked really, 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 really well. So there we go. That's was the absolute gold that we were given for that business coach. It was amazing. So there you go. If you are a business owner and you're needing to generate a great little nugget of wisdom from my past, I had another really good business coach, and I called him and I said, "Look, I need your help. This has happened in my world. You know me, you've worked with me before." He was great because he came up with this amazing, he really held me up and described me so well and wrote great that, it's really hard to write about yourself and rise yourself up to being as amazing as you are. Guys, you're listening to this, you're all amazing. You are so amazing. Each which one of you is amazing. You've just got to realize how amazing you are. Okay, I'm going to turn into a preach. So I called this coach. I said, "I need your help. I've got, you know me. I've got all this background. I've done all these things, and I need to know what I'm going to do now because I can't sit behind a computer and generate all that work and that I used to. I need your help." So anyway, so he came over, and it was awesome to see him, after it was probably like 10 years or something, how time flies. Yeah, so we sat down at my dining table and big piece of paper out, and yeah, no, it was awesome. But the sad thing out of it was that the only thing that he could come up with was that I should really just, go and get some work. You need to generate an income. And I was like, well, that's not really what I wanted to hear. And he was really looking at, well, how I could work with him. And of course, everyone needs to be paid, but it had to be like, okay, well, if you get that job, then that's enough to work with me. And I just wanted someone that could look at me and just help me I was looking for that golden answer. Okay, I was lesson learned. Right. But it was the beginning of me going, I was so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. I was hoping that he was like the man in shining armour to come through my front door and give me the answer that I was searching for. It was funny because I actually, at the time I went and there was a design job going back in town. I thought, oh, well, if this is what it's come to, because I'd really lost myself, when you've been, as he said, we're all amazing, and I was amazing, and then when you go through something like not being able to work, you lose your identity and you lose your self-confidence. And went and saw this design agency, and it was someone I'd always really looked up to, and I walked in the door and I was bubbling with energy because but as much as I was saying I was frustrated and down and lost my blah blah blah, but in between all that, gosh, this story is going to go in all directions. So as I said, I was growing food, and I loved the garden, and that stuff was all working, right? It was all working so beautifully, and in some ways I thought I'd made it, but you can't. I had a great line. Here we go. You can't grow. You can't pay a mortgage. God, such a good one. Something like, you can't grow food to pay a mortgage. Can't you get what I mean? I'm so close to what you get the gist, right? Like, you can grow food, but you can't. Frustration. Anyway, moving on. So I had kind of started this journey of growing food. Loved it. I love sharing about it, and I kind of had this feeling inside. I was like, that'd be really cool, like to share all about that because it's something that lights me up. But how do you monetize that? How do you pay a mortgage by talking about growing food? So I'd kind of, I have just digressed. And I just saw a shooting star. Yeah, I'm recording this in the middle of the night. I just freaking saw a shooting star out the window. I've never seen one in my life, and I have got serious goosebumps. Oh, whoa. Okay, my heart's racing. Completely lost my train of thought. Whoa, that was so cool. Okay. Moving on. Wow. Okay. So I had been... Yeah, the other thing... So I'd been growing this food, got really excited about... And I've been following people on Instagram that were growing food and love their content. As you do, I do quite like Insta because... Well, I love it. I gotta love it because I'm on it, right? I love the way that you can really tailor who you follow and tailor it to your interests, and so it's you're not getting bombarded with the stuff that you don't. You could, yeah, I like the fine tuningness of it. So anyway, I had been following this person, and they were really into making sauces and pickles and all the stuff. When you grow stuff, you go down that fermenting and preserving role. And I was like, if I'm going to grow this food, part of the self-sufficiency thing is to do that, right? So I'd come across the Thermomix. Almighty Thermomix. And I thought, blow it, I might as well earn my machine because I've got nothing to lose, right? And in that journey, I was like, I'll do the training and I'll be a consultant. And it was the first step in the journey that I'm about to take you on, and that I have been on since. So I had gone around to people's houses, so outside my comfort zone, being the introvert. I just didn't want to go out. As I said, want to shut the gates and be self-sufficient. I was so stretched. So I went and did these demonstrations, and then the next thing that happened was that my team leader in Thermomix had said, do you want to do a live, a live cook thing? And I was like, and I never say no. I'm all in, like, yeah, why not? And what have I got to lose, right? So I got the camera set up in the kitchen with the Thermomix and did this first facing the camera, and I did it. Oh my god, it's so weird. Like the first time you do it, you're like, oh, look at me, and you judge yourself, and it's just, but you very quickly get over it, guys. So I challenge you to lose the fear, because you're beautiful. You are beautiful. Like, you are, I'm gonna say it one more time, you are beautiful. That was the beginning of like this building of this personal brand. So I had so much fun along this route. As I said, I might as well have a go, and this led to that. As I said, I can't grow a mortgage, just add it, grow a mortgage. Okay, just leave it. I've got the garden, quite like talking about it, and I'm feeling that this is something that I need to do. Like, I like it. From there, I started looking online. Okay, well, what are people doing when they're off grid, when they're in these beautiful homesteads? What are they doing to earn an income? And I started searching, and there was a common thread that they were monetizing their socials, right? That they were affiliating with brands. Then this whole high ticket, because you need a decent income, like getting $50 or $100 or $200 for a commission from something that you have shared on your socials, right? It just isn't going to pay the bills. It's not going to work. And then I came across it was just such a, I was, as I said, I'd been torn to this business coach. I was like, I need a solution. So I was asking the universe, come on, like, show me. And I then had seen a really good friend of mine that my son had done motocross with with her daughter, and she was talking about affiliate marketing, and I was just like, oh, that's interesting, because that's what I've come across too. And she was a business owner like me, so there was this kind of relatability. And so I reached out to her and said, so what are you doing? Like, that's so interesting, because that's exactly what I'm feeling into, is, and she said, yeah, it's so cool. There's this amazing group of women. There's this great retreat coming up. And I was like, oh my goodness, because for all those years being self-employed, it was, and I know I'd grew the business with the husband and blah, blah, blah. And, and it wasn't lonely then, but unraveling all that and the time before that, when you, okay, you're not going to know unless you're a designer, but as a designer, you produce this piece of work and you kind of like, is this shade of green better? Do you like this font? Do you like this layout? Do you like this one, this one, or this one? And when you're sitting there by yourself, being self-employed as a designer, sometimes it's like really frustrating. You just want someone to just go, yep, that one, and you can move on. And when I heard her say, oh, there's this amazing group of women, that was something in my years as being self-employed that I'd been to those like BNI networking groups when you get up at the crack of dawn and you go and have breakfast and you go around the table and you stand up and you say, hi, I'm Belinda and I'm from Duffy Design and I do websites and I do branding and but I had always envisaged in my mind how cool it would be to have a group of entrepreneurial, especially women, that you could bounce ideas off and support each other, and you get together. And when this friend of mine said what she had found with this group of women, and they were called the Wildly Empowered Collective, and predominantly Aussies, I was like, that's pretty cool, because that's something I've always wanted. Then curious me was like, okay, well, I know you, that's awesome, but I need to find more people that are doing this. So I joined their beautiful Facebook group and started, who's common friends, and I started calling some of them and saying, and one woman was she had a big coaching company, and I spoke to her. I said, well, why have you deviated from this traditional thing across to here? And I drilled people. I was like, what's made you jump? And I did this a few times, because for me, that's another whole story again. When I invest in something, I do a lot of homework, and even like if I go and buy clothes, or I used to, I don't anymore because I've got so many and I haven't outgrown them. I would go and try them all on, and then I'd tell them to hold them overnight. Then I'd come back in the morning, try them all on again, and then I would choose neurotic about investing or spending. Invest, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'd done that. So there was a lot of really cool things, and then I looked, and then I was also, so this particular company, so that these women were affiliated in, was health and wellness, and I'd come from, as I said in my episode 3, I'd come from zero waste. I'd come from making my own cleaners. I'd like, right now, I was in, this is like, I'm not telling what time it is, but there was a mosquito in my bedroom. That's the only problem with this beautiful house, is there are some mosquitoes, and I won't spray. But I have worked out that a fan at the bottom of my bed works amazing, because if you blow a fan, the mosquitoes don't like the air movement. So I was a bit neurotic. And I was also really neurotic about the water that I drank. And I used to go to my parents' house. They were on a bore. They had bore water. And I would take these 20-litre plastic things and I'd go and fill up the bore water. And then often in the middle of the night, because my son would drink truckloads of water. And because he was on the bandwagon with me that we weren't drinking anything that came out of a tap. So I was doing that. And then when I found out that the company that they were all leveraging was water, I was like, that's awesome. And I'd got so far as I was doing the bore water, but then I was like, I'd put in rainwater tanks for the garden, and the next thing on my radar was to try and get that rainwater up to the house. I'm telling you, I'm neurotic. So when I found out that one of the products was a water solution that ticked all my boxes, and I also had issues with my back, and the water was the most potent antioxidant, like producing molecular hydrogen, called Kangen water. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then, as I said, I hate chlorine. And then the Anespa for the shower, I mean, I could not be bathing in it as well, and it was really good for my skin. And I'd had this chronic rash up my arm that was from tomato plants, and I'm going to fast forward this timeline and say that the Anespa cleared up that eczema. It's amazing, and had sensation in my scalp I hadn't had since I was a kid. So I love the Anespa. And then they had an amazing turmeric supplement. So all these, which was all organically grown. So it ticked all these boxes that are in alignment with me. It was a Japanese company, so that everything's impeccably beautiful. Tick the design boxes, tick the quality boxes, tick everything. And all these women were just really, really successful women. They were ex-corporates, ex-business owners, ex-PR, ex-designers, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And so I knew I wanted to I was enjoying using my voice and facing the camera. Like, okay, we've cracked that one. And the income looked amazing. And the posture of the woman, everything, it looked great. So yeah, that was kind of how that all happened, and I invested. And so I thought, oh yeah, we're gonna, let's go. And then an interesting thing happened. If you have been following me on socials for the last of last year, since February of last year, when I left the property, actually rewind before that, because there's a little bit of a interlude, that I'd invested in this business, started my business online, started sharing, not just the garden, but, a little bit more rounded stuff, because that's all what you do is like you start building these beautiful personal brands which are about your values, like we call them like the 5 pillars. So for me it was like no tox, it was the garden, you know what I mean, bit of teenage life, the dog. Okay, 5th one. Okay, you get my gist. So you start, mixing at your content, so you're not always talking about the same thing. Then people get to know you, so you build this personal brand. And then what happens by you sharing that stuff about is you start attracting people to follow you. Exactly what I said about Instagram is great, because you get to choose who you want to hear, to enjoy and to follow, right? And then by doing that, what happens is you attract, like that's what you're doing, you're attraction marketing, you're attracting those people, and and you're marketing to them. Marketing is just your communicating, that's all marketing, and it's communication, right? So really cool, really, really cool. And coming from a design background, as I said, and I'd, been one of the first internet designers, and I'd ridden that world, this whole fascination with learning about this new online business, online world, was just almost like the training that was just meant to be for me. Like, I love it. And I think that now, I'm just starting this podcast, and who knows, like maybe I'll write a book, but I never say never. I think that this whole personal brand is so important, especially if you are to write a book, because you're building this relationship with your audience, and that's something that that needs to be done. Otherwise, why would you pick up someone's book when you know nothing about them, right? It's so valuable. And this is all just what we get taught in this beautiful community, because it comes with this, just the training is insane. It's like basically, as I say, I've bought a course, but there's an income attached to it, so it's such a win-win. So the other really interesting thing is I kind of need to share is that there's something about the water. God, like my last episode, there's something about the house. There's something about the water. Because there is a frequency in the water. And one of the founders of a large group, which is the bigger umbrella of this beautiful group of women, he was about to start, this is so interesting, he was about to start a company putting frequency into water. And then he met a man, so his name was Clint. He met a man called Balaz, who had that conversation with him, and Clint had shared, I want to do this thing with water. Balaz was like, you need to look at this water, the Kangen water in there, before you go and invest all this money into your own business, and then the rest is history, right? And that's what he did. Yeah, because there is a frequency in the water, and for me, I can probably do a little bit of a little insert in this to share, is that for me, like, I'd done Toot, my cycling apparel clothing company, and I was at the point, I'd been through burnout, I'd invested a couple of $100,000 in that business, and I didn't want to do that again. I didn't want to have stock. I didn't want to have to manage factories. I didn't want to deal with customer returns, and I don't want to build another business. So, and I want to be around people and in a community, and so it kind of ticked all that boxes, as Clint would have done, you know what I mean? So we're all in the same boat. We don't want to do that. We're on the other side. We've been there, done that. We've climbed the corporate ladder. We've achieved the best. We've built our own business. You know what I mean? And now it's like, well, what's next? And we want to look after ourselves, because I think we've given ourselves enough torture, right? So frequency in the water. So interesting is that all of us, every single one of us, grows as soon as we start this business and we start drinking the water. It's insane. And my journey last year, and I want to do another whole podcast on the journey last year, because it was just incredible. Wow. Is that building these beautiful, nurturing communities of people that come into our world, and we're helping them transition from traditional business and burnout to a regulated nervous system. I didn't know what my nervous system was before I started this business. But to be it, we're all leaders, we're leading this new world, this new way of doing business. And we are being financially rewarded to do this. And yeah, how lucky are we to have this company with that vision? It wants that. It wants us to be happy and healthy and wealthy, and it's a beautiful package. And even their latest product, which they launched last year, is EMF protection. So they're just right down the rabbit hole, right? They're just so in alignment with we're all like this, right, in this community, especially the collective, the wildly empowered. We're all health conscious and neurotic about our water, and a lot of homeschool mums, and a lot of people started this business in 2020, not going to go down that path, and they lost their jobs. You can read between the lines. We're all very much, a lot of us, are anti-farmer. We were all, into organic food, and we're all those people, and that's also really cool to be in that community and be able to feel like you can just and have those conversations because we're also like-minded. So that's pretty cool too. So we all just go on this massive growth to become who we're meant to be, to come into alignment, and there's something that happens. And that's what happened to me last year, and I want to talk about that separately. So it's amazing, and it's been so cool going through last year, just almost being a bit of a silent observer and watching women that I know that I've been on. I ended up on a beautiful retreat with the collective September 2023. Oh, there's time frames. Yep, 23. And yes, I mean the caliber of the retreat was absolutely phenomenal. Like Jessica Zalums, who is one of the co-founders. I mean, she was ex-PR, so everything was impeccable. Like that level of presentation and facilitation, and was, oh wow, what an experience. Real special. And it was, maybe that's another story as well. I've got so many stories. But I will share that separately, that I have seen spiritually some stuff, and you will find that in my Instagram, my out of body experience of what I was seeing with what this with I okay, maybe I'll say a little bit here, is that I do believe that we are the messenger. I am going to share it, that we are, because it feels really emotional, that we are the messengers of the water, and there is so much we don't know about water. And what I saw I'm holding my little rabbit ears up, out of my body, was that we need to clean our waters. Like, we are 99% on a molecular level, 75, 80, whatever. Water. We are water beings, and we are frequency beings. And what I saw out of my body was, I saw it all. That we're all just little bits of energy floating around. But what I saw in particular about the water was that, I saw it flowing. And then when I went on this retreat in Soma, I saw the flow, like the big snaky thing, that it's flowing. And there is interference, like by chlor, and I know they had to chlorinate water to do this and do that, but it is interfering with our human molecular vessels, our cells, and we can't open up and be aware and be spiritually open when we fully open when we have these things that are they're stopping our pineal gland, and all that. That's detail. And I do believe that we are the messengers of the water, and that everyone says that the compensation plan, so the company is called Enagic. Have I said that yet? 50-year-old Japanese company, beautiful company, just such incredibly great ethics, and they just want to give back and support. It's just an egoless company. I love it. It's beautiful. That compensation plan. Some people joke and say it was done on shrooms on mushrooms because it's all patented. It's so almost trippy. When you also look at the language of water, that water has currency, and there's a lot of water vernacular in regards to money. So it's the currency of enagic. I do believe that enagic is there is something, because there's so many people doing this business, and as I said, meeting people who, gosh, some of them are in their 20s, who have been in this business for a year and a half and really, 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 really focused on it, 100%, and have gone from, being a yoga teacher, and now a few examples in my direct, people that we're jumping on calls with all the time, which are beautiful. Yoga teacher, and then she focused on the business. It was such, it's all about what you focus on. And now she has retired her husband in a year and a half, and they're now full-time traveling, because she full-time traveled before that, and then she's got 2 kids. So when I went to the gala with the collective in the end of 23, I went dress shopping with her, and she was so pregnant. I was trying to squeeze her into a dress. It was so funny. And so she grew this business pregnant. It's amazing. And now she's, living in Bali with her 2 very young children, and retired her husband on this business. Another woman is chiropractor, and she was the person that kind of nurtured me into this business, and she, same, retired her husband. She's traveling in a caravan. It's so cool, and just to see this firsthand of how this business compounds, and I love it. There's no going backwards, you're always going forward. So with me, I had invested in property when I was in my 20s, and that's how I've kind of stepped up. So I love the fact that there's no going backwards. I love that. I've dabbled, of course, we all have, or not all have, but whatever, in trading and that stuff. But oh my God, I can't handle the up and down and the roller coaster of it. It just stresses me out. And there's no stress with this business. It's like you never lose, you just keep going up, and you can go at your own pace. Like for me, it's like last year was all about growth, and this year how could I hold people when I was going through so much? And so now it's nice to kind of go, okay, I'm excited, and now knowing that people will go through, if they haven't done a lot of healing, they're going to go through growth, and know that I can hold them and mentor them. And I've got so many tools and so many amazing mentors. Like, my God, the phone calls that I've had to make 2 women in this collective that have become my mums. I've got so many mums in my life that got me through last year, but just to witness and be a part of, I think it's so important for us to be part of communities, and like-minded communities, and to find our people. And really exciting, incredible, just absolutely incredible what's happened in my life since I found this. Wow. I mean, even the one post that I did about my garden that then connected me with that I wouldn't have done without this business, that connected me with a good friend, that then set me on another retreat in the South Island, where, wow, it's like, it's insane. Like, it's just insane. So yeah, that's all about that. Hope you're having fun. I love doing this, so I will leave it there. But yeah, love nattering. You know where I am. I'm over on Insta, Belinda Duffy _ always happy to talk any of this stuff, and love to have a natter. So over and out from Curious Bee.